You realize that it's as Kenyans say, kitakuramba, yeah, in that process. So when you talk about greenhouses, you really have to be careful, first of all, from an investment perspective and the reality on the ground. And secondly, also in regards to maximally utilizing this space to give it the return. How do you determine what to plant and what not? And that will be the core of our conversation. Today, of course, in studio I have Michael Njeri, who's the CEO of Greenponic Solutions Limited. Welcome to the show and thank you for making time. Michael, of course, by experience, he'll be sharing how to do greenhousing the proper way, doing greenhouse the right way. Also, on the ones and twos, as entertainment shows normally say when they're introducing the DJ, since ours is a, agricultural show, but we have the element of health and how to make a healthy meal. This gentleman has been away for a minute, but now he's back, ladies and gentlemen. The one and only Chef Ron Kamau. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you too, Noah.
Yeah, you look healthy. Where have you been?
Very healthy. Busy with work. Just cooking for the mass out there, giving them good food.
Amazing. So today, you're cooking for these masses here and our viewers. What are we making?
Today, we're going to make a dish called frijoles. Frijoles, this is a Mexican word for refried beans. So the beans we're going to use is black beans, or how we know it is njahe. So I think I did a njahe dish a while back. We made it into a burger. Now we're doing it as a taco.
Okay.
Yes.
Njahe.
Njahe.
I love your mission. Your mission in life is to make sure that Njahe's publicity and public viewing is changed for the better in this country.
Yes.
Frijoles. Anyway, thank you very much, Chef Ron.
You're welcome.
Also for making time and leading us in this segment, which we'll be coming to in the second half of the show. All right?
All right.
So, Michael, back to you. Whether have you ever taken a burger with njahe inside?
No.
Yeah.
But
I know.
I know it must be very sumptuous.
You're a njahe fan?
Yeah.
That's amazing. You're one of the 20 people in this country that love njahe. So, I'm kidding. Let's start off with our discussion about greenhouses. Because for the longest time, you go places, you see somebody has this massive construction, that's a greenhouse. And it's long been used as, it's been pitched as one of the areas that you can make a lot of money from. Let's start from the basics, okay? When it comes to greenhouses, how small or how large can they get to be? And what do you consider a standard greenhouse? Is it, that's not just me taking some, some material, creating a structure, putting it on top and planting things inside? What is a greenhouse?
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for giving me opportunity to share the knowledge that we have in the greenhouse farming and educate our farmers. You're doing a good job, and farmers are happy for the job you're doing. For greenhouse farming, first of all, you need to understand what is a greenhouse. A greenhouse is a structure that you shelter your crop with something like a glass or a polythene that allows light to pass through to increase the temperature and the humidity. When you have the high temperatures in your controlled environment, that means your crops will be able to mature faster and you will have a controlled environment, like there will be no or minimal natural disasters that can affect your crops. When it comes to the greenhouse sizes, greenhouse farming, remember I've said, is a structure or an infrastructure. If you want to build a house of maybe 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom, the standard size goes with your specification of how big you want it or how small you want it. In the greenhouse farming, we don't have like a standard size that you can farm with. The little space that you have, you can shelter it, even if it is 2 meters by 10 meters by 5 meters. We go with the square meter. You can do a greenhouse of 5 square meters, depending on your intention on how you want to utilize this greenhouse. Is it for your own kitchen consumption or for commercial purpose? If it's for commercial purpose, of course, you have to do your math and you understand the market requirement. That's what will dictate the size of a greenhouse that you go for.
Okay.
In the market, we have, in our Kenyan market, we have standard greenhouses that the farmers mostly they advise, or we advise farmers to start with. The smallest maybe being 8 meters by 12 meters. That is if you want to get into the market where you'll be able to produce high value products like tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, carrot, capsicum. Basically, we mean that greenhouse, if you want to venture into greenhouse farming for commercial purpose, you have to understand the market. What do you want to grow? And what are the maths about in this venture?
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're going to come back to that because, of course, that's been a huge challenge for a lot of people, generally even in farming, where if you're not very careful in terms of getting market, you can lose your products. And know there are some interventions in that regard to bridge that gap, that divide that is there. So you said it's a controlled environment, okay? In terms of controlling this environment, because I know when it comes to, for example, the soil, or if you're using a different medium where you're planting your crops, that is purposeful once you've sort of segmented the area. When it comes to humidity, because somebody's asking, do I need to install additional equipment to make sure that this space is fully functional? Is it once I have the covering well and my soil is tested and it's well, then that's it? Are there certain elements that you need other than that structure to create that controlled environment?
Yes. With the greenhouse, there are several parameters that you have to consider before setting up a greenhouse. Number one being the soil, as you have said. You have to ensure that your soil is analyzed so that you are able to understand the soil culture, the soil pH, and also whether the soil is contaminated, whether it has soil-borne diseases. You also have to understand its topography and also the nutrition element in that soil. If it's a land that has been previously cultivated, you may realize that when you want to set up a greenhouse, the soil may be overused or may have other contaminants in the soil. So you have to understand it so that you are able to treat, if you be able to determine whether the soil you will be able to treat it, or you will venture into other technologies that like hydroponic, where you bring in other media. The other thing that you need to check on is water. You have to get a reliable source of water, because now after you cover your unit, that means you will no longer rely on rainwater. And with the greenhouse, the production is throughout the year because it's covered and the humidity and the temperatures they are high. The other thing is the model of irrigation. What do you want to, which model do you want to venture into?
Yes.
Those are some of the parameters that you need to consider before setting up a greenhouse.
Okay.
The other thing, you need a training. Greenhouse farming is not just like the normal farming in the open field.
Okay.
Where you just get into, and remember, greenhouse, the initial cost is quite high compared to the initial conventional methods of farming.
Oh, really? The cost element initially, on average, in the Kenyan market, for you to set up that basic one, you spoke about 8 by 12?
Yeah, 8 meters by 12.
Yes. How much will that cost you?
The cost is determined by the materials that you use. In the past, we used to have quite costly greenhouses because the market, the products or the covering materials that we used to use were like a monopoly source of these materials. But now, because of the market is open, there are so many companies which are producing these materials. The prices have gone down, and you realize that if you want to do a wooden greenhouse, you can start with investment of maybe 50,000 Kenya shilling. If you want to do a steel greenhouse, you can go for black pipe. We call them furniture pipes. Those are steel, and you can go for galvanized steel. And also your area will dictate on which type of a greenhouse that you're going to set up. Because an area like it that is windy, you cannot set up a greenhouse like the area that is not windy. Because you can set up your greenhouse today and tomorrow is blown up by the wind, the high wind. So there are different types of the greenhouses. If I can mention, there is tunnel greenhouse, there is open vent greenhouse, and there is dome greenhouse.
Okay.
Those comes with different prices. But you can start your venture with as low as 50,000. And as you increase the sizes and the designs, also the prices goes up.
All right.
Also, interior will also determine the prices. The interior, if you want to do the drip irrigation, if you want to venture into products like tomatoes or vining crops that will need crop support, it will increase the infrastructure in the greenhouse. That means the cost will go high. If your production is in flowers, glosses for export, that means you don't need the infrastructure interior to support those crops.
Okay.
If you are growing things like strawberry on the ground, vegetables that do not really need interior infrastructure, the cost is not an issue of additional cost will not be an issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
What crops do you advise to be grown in a greenhouse? Is it accommodative to every crop, or there's certain crops that are not just fit for a greenhouse environment?
As I said, these greenhouses, it depends with your intention. Do you want it conventional, like for your own consumption, for feeding your kitchen, or for commercial purpose?
Okay.
If it is for commercial purpose, we highly recommend you grow crops that are not easy to grow on the open field.
Okay.
Like you can grow cherry tomatoes. They fetch very good prices in the market. Like a plant can give you up to 10 kgs. And within that 10 kgs, a kg you can sell up to 300 or between 300 to 500 Kenyan shilling. And the 10 kgs is per season. This crop cannot be grown open field because the seed manufacturer is manufactured as indeterminate variety that is grown in a controlled environment. The determinate variety that is grown in the open field, if you plant it in a greenhouse, that means you'll be losing because you will harvest for a short period, but in a greenhouse you harvest for a longer period.
Okay.
There are other things like cucumber. Like you can grow local cucumber or English cucumber. You can grow things like strawberries, other high value products, and also losses, more so for export market.
Okay.
Yeah, and herbs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I'm glad you've mentioned market.
Yes.
Because a lot of people go into farming, and yes, it seems like very basic knowledge. I'm farming this, I'm gonna sell. But once you've harvested, if at all you don't have a market, it becomes a little bit of a struggle, and I've seen that. So how would you advise farmers? Somebody has gone into commercial production at a greenhouse level. How do they better their chances of making profits and, keeping the business running?
In the production of any crop that you venture into, you have to start, or we recommend, or my advice is that you start from the back one. before you get into the production, know your market.
Yes.
Do a market survey. Know what the market require, like the hotels, these groceries, the like Wakurima market, or the market in Parklands, or even in your local area. Understand what they want, they buy, and the price range. The peak season and the off-peak season.
Okay.
What are the price range? So you'll be able to understand what I'm going to venture into. So after you do that market research, you try as much as possible to have to lower the cost of production.
Okay.
That is, if you want to you are venturing into this farming, you get materials that will help you cut the cost of like irrigation. You can do drip irrigation so that you reduce the water wastage.
Yes.
You get things like solar powered to power these to pump this water. That will help you cut the cost of production. If you go again into the market, if you're doing your research, you realize that the organic market will fetch more prices than the inorganic method.
Okay.
If you're able to have an advice or a good agricultural practice that you'll be able to venture into organic farming, again you'll be able to cut the cost of production. Because starting from the beginning, if you use cow dung, goat yard manure, which are very nutritious and are the best fertilizers to apply in your farm, you will be able to achieve your expected yield. At the same time, your soil will be okay. You'll be able to use for long period, and the cost of production of this manure is low compared to if you are going to inorganic fertilizer. Remember, we also had challenges of cost of production with the government subsidies fertilizer, whereby the quality of these fertilizers are unpredictable.
Okay.
But doing it yourself, you learn how to do it in organic way. These materials you'll be able to do them by yourself.
Okay.
To prepare them by yourself.
Definitely.
And that will cut the cost. And then when now you're getting into the market, you're getting into a market with the full force that you have, the cost of production is low, and you're doing it in the light way, you are able to achieve the expected yield, and if you are able to sell direct to the market without going through the middleman, you will not be losing money.
Yes.
And there is also something that we do in production. We do what is called staggered production for sustainability of the market.
Okay.
Not only on the farm, but on the market. Like you have 10 acres of land and you want to produce like tomatoes. Don't just jump into the farm and plant the entire farm with 10 acres of tomatoes. You do like 2 acres every month, so that when you start harvesting, you will keep harvesting the first month, then the second month you will have something to harvest.
Okay.
That will give you the sustainability of the market, and the buyer will trust you, because we'll know, like, Mike, if I need a tomato, I can get throughout the year. Okay. Because I will not get to a point I tell the market that I don't have produce at the farm. Okay. Because I'm uprooting this plant, wait for 3 months so that it can. You remember, now you'll be struggling to come back to the market.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Green ponics, it's about innovation within these greenhouses. But I'm glad you're mentioning about production and how it should be done, because greenhouses offer that environment of having sustained production throughout the year. For a farmer, you are talking about staggered production, so that there is a level of consistency at the same time to be able to cater to those market pockets that are there. Talk to me about that aspect of, especially as somebody who's coming into greenhouse farming. Choosing, I know you've touched on this earlier on, but choosing the right product, especially for Kenyan farmers. Right now, there's so much hype. I remember when dragon fruit came around, everyone wanted to do dragon fruit. We are a very hype-ish environment. But from your experience, what would you advise somebody if they have already set up a greenhouse? What would you advise them to go into right now?
For now, the production in the greenhouse, with the innovation that are there, and considering the cost of production, with the greenhouse, there are herbs, and there are huge market for the herbs if you get the light market for export. In the local market, you can produce something like cherry tomatoes, English cucumber, and carrot capsicum. And their market is there is a huge sustainable market of these products, because nowadays the culture have changed. Like right now, our chef will prepare something. I'm sure there is tomatoes, the onion. If there is salad, you will produce lettuce.
Yes.
And for us to live healthy, like the way we are very strong because of eating these farm produce.
Yes.
Remember, for you to have something on the plate, I'm sure in most cases you have to get a tomato. Those cherry tomatoes, remember, they don't have acid. So you have issues with the acidity. The cherry tomato is the best. If you want to, if you are a farmer and for instance you don't have a market at the moment, you can sort of dry this cherry tomato and you do value addition.
Okay.
Those are the tomato powders that you find in the supermarket shelf, and a spoonful of this cherry tomato, you find that it turns the entire dish without getting necessary to an entire portion of this cherry tomato.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so we have new pockets of demands that are coming up.
Yeah.
Based on lifestyle. I know earlier on you had mentioned about. I mean, there is an element also of very healthy eating, as you rightly put it. Now we have vegan, and people want food that has been produced a particular way.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that from farm to plate, but reverse, where people are having the plates. Actually, now there is a growing demand of knowing what the thing on my plate, where it came from, and whether it was produced sustainably and whatnot. Do you think that is an area that if at all you having a greenhouse, it's very easy for you to sort of document and have that proof of farm to plate journey that can work for you in this current market?
Yes, with the greenhouse farming, the farm records are easy to manage, because being in a controlled environment, you can be able to track each and every step that you undergo within the farming production. The other thing is that with the parameters of a greenhouse, you realize that it's easy to manage the production in an organic way, because in a controlled environment, there are very minimal pests and diseases. So if you want to grow, like myself, I like the organic product, because I want to get to age properly. I don't want to get those diseases from the synthetic application of pesticide and fungicide.
Yes.
So I would prefer not going to the market and buy something that I know it looks like it's very clean, have been sprayed with all manners of pests and disease and fungicide. So in a greenhouse, organic production is very easy to manage, and you find that when you take your produce to the market, they normally ask you, is this organic farming? They would like to visit your farm and learn what you do.
Yes.
And doing it practically, it's easy to track each and every step that you do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now moving into innovation within the greenhouse ecosystem. I know you guys are doing, because we have different mediums now that are being introduced, and the market is sort of yearning from the traditional soil as a medium into others that might work better. Talk to me about that, because at Greenponics, you guys are utilizing, technology in your greenhouses to be able to boost production. How so?
With for us Greenponics, we've ventured into farming on air, not utilizing the soil on the ground, because we realize that you can just plant few crops on the soil. But going vertically, you utilize the space that Lord have given us. And considering that the land that we have in our urban areas, or even in the areas that we have, when you set up a greenhouse, that is a structure you have built, and it's a controlled environment. You have to utilize it entirely to ensure that each and every space is occupied. This is where we introduce hydroponic. Hydroponic is the soilless farming, where we bring in a medium like a volcanic rock. You can use gravel, sand, cocoa peat, and other organic materials. You bring them, you put them on containers or pipes. You plant your crops there, and then the water is in a model that is there irrigation that channels this water, and you keep on recycling this water. This helps you in saving water and management of the system, and you eliminate soil-borne diseases completely. And waterborne diseases, those are some of the aspects that we try to come up with a solution.
All right.
Yeah.
Definitely. And in closing, in less than 40 seconds, in terms of the greenhouse space, since you're operating in it, where is it going? What is the future of greenhouse farming in this country? Do you think it's something that, technology in your greenhouses to be able to boost production? How so?
With for us Greenponics, we've ventured into farming on air, not utilizing the soil on the ground, because we realize that you can just plant few crops on the soil. But going vertically, you utilize the space that Lord have given us. And considering that the land that we have in our urban areas, or even in the areas that we have, when you set up a greenhouse, that is a structure you have built, and it's everybody want to grow their own food in a controlled environment. So it is increasing, and more so with the ventures that we have, that we are using locally available materials. All these materials are locally available, and utilizing small space, the popularity is increasing.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Michael. Michael Njeri is the CEO of Greenponics Solutions Limited. And it tells us that greenhouse is the now and also the future of farming, because it is controlled environment, and that is the environment that we need to create to sort of have maximum impact, productivity, but also in an age where everyone is very keen on what they eat. Then farm to plate is made easier by proper record keeping, and innovation also happening in these spaces where you don't have to utilize only the ground, the soil, utilize the air by utilizing, technologies like aquaponics and whatnot. That's the latest from Martha's greenhouse farming in Kenya. And we take a short break. When we come back, we have an interesting chat with Chef Ron Kamau, sous chef at Nairobi Street Kitchen, making some very interesting meals. Stay tuned. Asante sana.